"Will you save my mother's life for $5? Asked the 9-year-old girl as she walked into the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse with a wrinkled $5 bill held tight in her small hand. The entire room went completely silent. 15 bikers sat frozen in the middle of talking, beer bottles halfway to their lips, pool sticks hanging in the air. This wasn't a place for children. The Iron Brotherhood Motorcycle Club was well known in the county. Ex-military, ex-prisoners, men with violent pasts who showed off their scars like they were proud of them. Hammer, the chapter president, was the first to move. He put down his cards and walked toward the girl. His huge body, 6 feet 5 inches and 280 pounds of muscle and tattoos, would have scared most adults. But the little girl didn't back away. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Hammer asked, his voice surprisingly soft. "Emma," the girl whispered. "Emma Rodriguez." "Emma, where are your parents?" "My mom's at the hospital. She's dying." Emma's voice cracked, but she kept talking, words pouring out in a scared rush. "The doctors say she needs medicine, but we don't have insurance and it costs $50,000. And my uncle said he'll pay for it, but only if I go live with him forever. And my mom said no because he's a bad man. But if she dies, it's my fault. And I heard you guys do things for money, so I have $5. And please, please help me." The bikers looked at each other with dark expressions. They all knew what "bad man" meant when a 9-year-old said it with that kind of fear in her eyes. Tank, the sergeant-at-arms, stood up. "Where's this uncle now?" "Outside in his car. He drove me here." He said, "Bikers are criminals, and if I ask you for help, you'll just take my money and laugh at me. But I don't care anymore, because my mom is all I have." Wrench moved to the window and looked out. A black Mercedes sat in the parking lot, engine running. The driver was on his phone, not even watching the clubhouse entrance. "Confident," Wrench muttered. "Or stupid." Hammer knelt down to Emma's level. His scarred face, a reminder from the war in Fallujah, usually made children cry. But Emma looked him in the eyes without backing away. "Your uncle drove you here to a biker bar in the middle of the night." Emma nodded. "He said he wanted me to learn a lesson. That nobody helps people for free. That the world is cruel, and I need to understand that before I agree to live with him." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Every man in that clubhouse understood exactly what kind of lesson Emma's uncle was really planning to teach her. "What hospital is your mother in?" Hammer asked. "St. Mary's, room 304. She has cancer. Stage 4. The doctors say the new medicine could save her, but it's expensive and experimental, and insurance won't cover it." "Doc," the club's medic who'd been a combat medic in Iraq, pulled out his phone. "I know people at St. Mary's. Let me make some calls." Emma held out her $5 bill with shaking hands. "This is all I have. Will you help me save my mom?" Hammer looked at that $5 bill, wrinkled and worn, probably saved from lunch money over weeks. And something inside his chest tightened. He'd seen a lot of terrible things in his life. War zones, prison yards, streets where violence was something everyone understood. But watching a 9-year-old girl offer her last $5 to save her dying mother while her dangerous uncle waited outside hit different. "Keep your money, Emma," Hammer said quietly. "We'll help you, but first we need to talk to your uncle." Emma's eyes went wide. "He'll get mad. When he gets mad, She stopped, touching her arm where a bruise was visible under her sleeve. The bikers saw that bruise. They saw the way Emma had stopped herself from finishing that sentence. They saw everything they needed to see. "Stay here," Hammer ordered, pointing to Raven, the only female member of the chapter. "Raven's going to stay with you. The rest of you outside now." 14 bikers filed out of the clubhouse in a line. The Mercedes driver finally looked up from his phone, his smug expression fading slightly as he realized he was surrounded. Robert Chin stepped out of the car slowly. He was in his 40s, wearing an expensive suit, his hair perfectly styled, the kind of man who looked respectable, trustworthy, successful. "Gentlemen," Robert said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I assume my niece made it inside safely." "Your niece," Hammer said, his voice flat, "offered us $5 to save her mother's life. Then she told us some interesting things about you." Robert's smile tightened. "Emma has a big imagination. Her mother has filled her head with nonsense. I'm simply trying to help family during a difficult time. By bringing a 9-year-old to a biker bar at midnight to teach her a lesson." Tank stepped closer, his huge arms crossed. "To show her reality," Robert said, his voice taking on an edge. "Her mother is dying. Someone needs to take custody. I'm the only family she has. I'm offering to pay for the treatment, but there are conditions. Emma needs to understand that. What conditions? Wrench asked. That's between me and my sister, Robert said. Now, I've been patient, but I'm taking Emma home. We have paperwork to sign at the hospital. Emma's not going anywhere with you, Hammer said. Robert's mask slipped. His eyes went cold, calculating. You're interfering with a family matter. I could call the police right now. Report that a motorcycle gang is holding my niece hostage. Go ahead, Hammer said. Call them. We'll wait. Robert pulled out his phone, but before he could dial, Doc came out of the clubhouse, his expression serious. Just got off the phone with Dr. Martinez at St. Mary's, Doc announced. Emma's mother, Rosa Rodriguez, has been fighting cervical cancer for 2 years. She got worse rapidly 3 months ago after her husband died in a construction accident. The experimental treatment could save her life, but it's not covered by insurance. The cost is $50,000, which I'm offering to pay, Robert interrupted. If Emma comes to live with me, it's a fair trade. Is it? Doc stepped closer, because Dr. Martinez also mentioned something interesting. Rosa Rodriguez has been refusing to sign custody papers. She's terrified of you having access to her daughter. So terrified that she'd rather die than let Emma live with you. Robert's face turned red. My sister is confused from the pain medication. She's not thinking clearly. Or she's thinking very clearly, Hammer said. Clear enough to know what kind of man you are. You don't know anything about me, Robert snarled. Don't I? Hammer pulled out his phone and showed Robert the screen. Isaiah Chun. That's your real name. You changed it to Robert Chun 5 years ago after you were investigated for inappropriate conduct with a minor in Oregon. No charges filed because the family accepted a settlement. Then you moved to California. Changed your name. Started fresh. Robert's face went white. How did you? I was Special Forces, Hammer said quietly. I know how to find things. People. Secrets. And I know exactly what you are. The parking lot was silent except for the distant sound of traffic on the highway. 14 bikers formed a half-circle around Robert Chun, blocking any escape route. I'm calling the police, Robert said, his voice shaking. Now. No, Tank said, stepping forward. You're not. You're going to get in your car, drive away, and never contact Emma or her mother again. You're going to disappear from their lives permanently. And if I don't, then we make some calls of our own, Hammer said. To the family in Oregon who took your settlement. To the other families I found during my research. 3 of them across 2 states, all with daughters around Emma's age, all paid off to keep quiet. Robert's hands were shaking. You're bluffing. Try me, Hammer said. Because if you don't leave right now, I'm calling Detective Sarah Morrison. She's with the Crimes Against Children unit. She's also Tank's sister. She'd love to talk to you about some cold cases she's been working on. This is extortion, Robert spat. No, Wrench said quietly. Extortion is what you did to Emma's mother. Offering to save her life only if she hands over her daughter to a predator. What we're doing is called justice. Robert looked around at the circle of bikers. Men who'd seen combat, done time, lived hard lives. Men who knew exactly how to make problems disappear. You have 10 seconds to get in your car, Hammer said. Then we call the detective. Your choice. Robert's pride fought with his survival instinct. Survival won. He got in his Mercedes without another word, his hands fumbling with the keys. The engine roared to life, and he sped out of the parking lot, tires squealing. The bikers watched until his tail lights disappeared into the night. He'll come back, Tank said. No, he won't, Hammer replied. Doc, you get that recording? Doc held up his phone. Every word. Admission of conditional assistance, threatening behavior, everything. Plus, I've got friends in Oregon who are very interested in talking to Mr. Chun. Good. Hammer turned back toward the clubhouse. Now, let's figure out how to save Emma's mother. Inside, Emma was sitting at the bar with Raven, drinking a Shirley Temple that Raven had made for her. She looked up when Hammer entered. Is my uncle gone? He's gone, Hammer confirmed. And he's not coming back. Emma's shoulders relaxed with relief. Then her face crumpled. But my mom. The medicine. I only have $5. Emma, Hammer said gently. Do you know what this club does? She shook her head. We protect people. That's our code. Women, children, people who can't protect themselves. Your uncle brought you here thinking we'd laugh at you. Take your money. Prove to you that the world is cruel. He knelt down beside her. But he was wrong. The world can be cruel, but it can also be kind. It can also be full of people who care. Tank pulled out his phone, making some calls. We've got brothers in other chapters. Let's see what we can raise. I'm calling the VA, Doc said. We've got veteran support networks, medical fundraising contacts. Wrench opened his laptop, setting up a crowdfunding page. Iron Brotherhood rescues dying mother. This will go viral in hours. Raven squeezed Emma's hand. Sweetheart, you walked into the right place. We're going to save your mom. I promise you that. Over the next 3 hours, the clubhouse transformed into a war room. Phones rang constantly. Bikers from 5 different chapters promised money. Veterans organizations contributed. The crowdfunding page exploded with donations after Wrench shared it on social media. By 3 a.m., they had raised $30,000. By dawn, they hit $50,000. By noon the next day, they had $75,000, enough for the treatment and 3 months of Emma's living expenses. Hammer drove Emma to the hospital in his truck with Raven and Doc following on their bikes. The rest of the chapter stayed behind to coordinate the money transfers and make sure Robert Chin hadn't tried to come back. St. Mary's Hospital was quiet in the early morning. Dr. Martinez met them in the hallway outside Rosa Rodriguez's room, his expression cautious. You're the bikers, he said, looking at Hammer's vest. We are. Emma called me. Said you're going to pay for her mother's treatment. We are, Hammer confirmed. How fast can you start? Dr. Martinez stared at them for a long moment. I need to be honest with you. Even with the treatment, Rosa's chances are maybe 40%. The cancer is advanced. The experimental drug might not work. But there's a chance, Raven said. There's a chance, the doctor agreed. Then we take it, Hammer said. What do you need from us? The paperwork took 2 hours. Bank transfers, medical consent forms, treatment protocols. Emma sat beside her mother's bed the entire time, holding Rosa's hand. Rosa Rodriguez was barely awake, the cancer and pain medication keeping her in a foggy state. But when Emma whispered, Mama, it's going to be okay. The bikers are helping us. Rosa's eyes flickered open. Bikers? Rosa's voice was barely audible. They're good people, Mama, Emma said. They sent Uncle Robert away. They raised the money for your medicine. They're saving you. A single tear rolled down Rosa's cheek. She looked past Emma to where Hammer stood in the doorway. This huge tattooed man who looked like he belonged in a prison yard, not a hospital room. Thank you, Rosa whispered. Hammer nodded once. You focus on getting better. We'll take care of the rest. The treatment started that afternoon. Dr. Martinez was cautiously hopeful, but warned them it would be weeks before they knew if it was working. Emma couldn't stay at the hospital, and Child Services was asking questions about her guardian situation now that Robert was out of the picture. That's when Raven made an offer that shocked everyone. I'll take her, Raven said. I'm a certified foster parent. Was planning to retire from active writing anyway to focus on my social work practice. Emma can stay with me until her mother recovers. Emma looked up at this tough woman with tribal tattoos covering her arms and a scar across her eyebrow from a bar fight. You want me to live with you? If you're okay with it, Raven said. I've got a spare room. It's small, but it's yours. And I make pretty good pancakes. Emma nodded slowly. Okay. The first week was hard. Emma struggled with nightmares, constantly worried about her mother, terrified that Robert would come back. Hammer assigned 2 members of the club to take turns standing guard outside Raven's house, just in case. But Robert never came. He disappeared completely. And when Hammer's contacts in Oregon started asking questions about him, Robert's lawyer sent a message. His client had moved to Nevada and would not be returning to California. The second week, Rosa's scans showed slight improvement. The tumor markers were decreasing. Dr. Martinez was cautiously hopeful. The third week, Emma started smiling again. She helped Raven in her garden, learned to change the oil on Raven's motorcycle, started attending a new school where nobody knew her story. The fourth week, Rosa was strong enough to sit up in bed. Her color was better. Her eyes were clearer. The treatment was working. 2 months after Emma walked into the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse with $5, Rosa Rodriguez walked out of St. Mary's Hospital cancer-free. The doctors called it a miracle. The Iron Brotherhood called it justice. The club threw a party at the clubhouse to celebrate. Emma and Rosa stood in front of 15 bikers, these dangerous men with violent pasts and criminal records. And Rosa said the words that made every single one of them clear their throats and look away. You saved my life. You saved my daughter. You did it for $5 that you never even took. I don't know how to repay you. You don't repay us, Hammer said. You live. You raise your daughter. You show her that the world might be hard, but there are still good people in it who care. Rosa pulled Emma close. I don't understand. Why would you do this? You don't know us. Tank stepped forward. My daughter was Emma's age when my ex-wife's boyfriend started hurting her. Nobody helped. Nobody noticed. By the time I found out, my little girl had been through hell. His voice was rough. I was in prison. Couldn't protect her. Couldn't do anything. When I got out, I swore I'd never let another child suffer if I could stop it. Wrench spoke next. My mother died of cancer when I was 10. We couldn't afford treatment. I watched her fade away, knowing there were medicines that could save her, but we couldn't reach them. No kid should ever feel that helpless. One by one, the bikers shared their stories: abuse, poverty, violence, neglect. Every one of them had once been a child in need. Every one of them had been failed by the world. And every one of them had made the same choice: to be different, to use their strength to protect instead of destroy. So we help, Hammer said, finishing the circle. Because nobody helped us. Because we know what it's like to be powerless. Because that's what brothers do. We protect our own. Rosa's voice trembled. But we're not your own. Yes, you are, Raven said, wrapping an arm around Emma's shoulders. You became our own the moment this brave little girl walked through our door. Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out the $5 bill, the one she'd once tried to give Hammer. I still want you to have this. Hammer took it gently. You know what we're going to do with this? Emma shook her head. We're going to frame it, Hammer said. Right there on the wall. And anyone who comes into this clubhouse, anyone who asks what it means, we'll tell them your story. How a 9-year-old girl taught 15 tough bikers what courage looks like. The $5 bill went up on the wall above the bar. It became legend. Bikers from other chapters came just to see it, to hear about the child who turned a motorcycle club into an army of protectors. But the story didn't end there. 3 months after Rosa's recovery, a young woman walked into the clubhouse with a black eye and a split lip. A tiny boy clung to her hand. I heard you help people, she said softly. I heard about Emma. I need help. My boyfriend, he. Say no more, Hammer said. Raven, get her, and the kid checked out. Tank, find a safe house tonight. I don't have money, she cried. I can't pay you. Hammer pointed at the frame on the wall. See that? That's the price. Courage. Word spread. Over the next year, the Iron Brotherhood helped 12 more families. Mothers escaping abuse, children in danger, people running from violence. The bikers' reputation for toughness became a shield, not a threat. Emma grew up. She earned a scholarship, went to college, studied social work, and returned to help at the same shelter that once saved her. She never forgot that $5, the small bill that bought hope. Rosa started a cancer survivor support group. Every Thursday, the clubhouse filled with laughter, tears, and stories of survival. The bikers brewed coffee, guarded the door, and listened. Their rough outsides became silent promises of safety. Every new member who joined the Iron Brotherhood learned Emma's story during initiation. They learned why the $5 bill mattered. They learned that the world might see them as dangerous, but they chose to be protectors. Robert Chin vanished. Nevada, Arizona, then nowhere. Detective Morrison found evidence linking him to crimes across 3 states. No one missed him. Years later, when Emma graduated from college, the entire Iron Brotherhood showed up. Leather vests lined the back row. When her name was called, 15 bikers stood and roared louder than the rest of the auditorium combined. Rosa cried. Raven cried. Hammer wiped his eyes. Emma found Hammer in the parking lot and hugged him. Thank you for saving my mom, for protecting me, for showing me that family isn't always blood. You reminded us why we do this, Hammer said. Why we wear these patches. Why we chose to be more than what the world expected. Keep the $5 on the wall, Emma said. Always. The bill still hangs there today, faded, almost colorless. But every member knows its meaning. Courage. Hope. Salvation. A reminder that sometimes the people the world fears are the ones who save you. That sometimes $5 is worth more than $50,000. That sometimes the toughest men carry the softest hearts. That's the truth the world won't admit. But Emma Rodriguez lived it. The Iron Brotherhood proved it. And that framed $5 bill testifies to it every single day.